दक्षिणामूर्तिसारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमां रमणाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् शुक्लां भरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये आङ्गिकं भुवनं यस्य वाचिकं सर्ववाङ्मयम् आहार्यं चन्द्रतारादि तं नमः सात्विकं शिवम् ॐ नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय। नमो रमण।
एकम् अक्षरम् हृदि निरन्तरम् भासते स्वयं लिख्यते कथम् हृदयकुहरमध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रम् यहम् अहमिति साक्षात् आत्मरूपेण भाति। हृदि विषमनसा चिन्वता मज्जता पवनचलनरोधा आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम्। देहं मृण्मयवत् अहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो नाहं तत्तत भावशुक्तिसमये सिद्धात्मसद्भावतः कोऽहं भावयुतः कुतो वरधिया दृष्टात्मनिष्टात्मना सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचलशिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयं। सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचलशिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयं। नमो रमण।
We now have the chanting of Upadeshasaram to be done by Revati, and the second half will be by Uma and Ashwini.
कर्तुराज्ञया प्राप्यते फलं कर्म किं परं कर्म तज्जडं कृतिमहो दधौ पतनकारणं फलमशाश्वतं गतिनिरोधकम् ईश्वरार्पितं नेच्छया कृतं चित्तशोधकं मुक्तिसाधकं कायवाङ्मनः कार्यमुत्तमम् पूजनं जपश्चिन्तनं क्रमात् जगत ईषधीयुक्तसेवनम् अष्टमूर्तिभृदेवपूजनम् उत्तमस्तवादुच्चमन्दतः चित्तजं जप ध्यानमुत्तमम् आज्यधारया स्रोतसा समम् सरलचिन्तनं विरणतः परम् भेदभावनात् सोऽहमिति पावनीमता भावशून्यसद्भावसुस्थितिः भावनाबलाद् भक्तिरुत्तमा हृत्स्थले मनः स्वस्थता क्रिया भक्तियोगबोधाश्च निश्चितम् वायुरोधना लीयते मनः जालपक्षिवर्धनम् चित्तवायवश्चित्क्रियायुताः शाखयोर्द्वयी शक्तिमूलका लयविनाशने उभयरोधने लयगतं पुनर्भवति नोऽमृतम् प्राणबन्धनाल्लीनमानसम् एकचिन्तनान्नाशमेत्यद
दृश्यवारितं चित्तमात्मना दर्शनं तत्त्वदर्शनं मानसं तु किं मार्गणे कृते नैव मानसं मार्गार्जवात् वृत्तयस्त्वहं वृत्तिमाश्रिताः वृत्तयो मनो विद्यहं मनः अहमयं कुतो भवति चिन्वत ऐपतत्यहं निजविचारणम् अहमिनाशभाज्यहमहं तया स्फुरतिहृत्स्वयं परमपूर्णसत् इदमहं पदाभिक्यमन्वहम् अहमिलीनके प्रलयसत्तया विग्रहेन्द्रिया प्राणदीतम नाहमेकसत्तज्जडं यसत् सत्त्वभासिका चित्पवेतरा सत्तया हि चेत् चित्तया ह्यहम् ईश जीवयोर्वेषदीपिदा सत्स्वभावतो वस्तु केवलम् वेषः आनत स्वात्मदर्शनम् ईशदर्शनं स्वात्मरूपत आत्मसंस्थिति स्वात्मदर्शनम् आत्मनिर्भयादात्मनिष्ठता ज्ञानवर्जिता अज्ञानहीन चेत् ज्ञानमस्ति किं ज्ञातुमन्तरम् किं स्वरूपम् इत्यात्मदर्शने अव्यया भवा अपूर्णचित्सुखम् बन्धमुख्यतीतं परं सुखम् विन्दतीह जीवस्तु दैविक अहमपेतकं निजविबानकं महदिदं तपो रमणवाह्यम्
Namo Ramana. We now have the bhajans which will be begun by Radha, continued by Savitri and Jai Shri Ram, and concluded by Pratibha.
We'll start with the chanting of Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya 3 times. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya. ಚಿಚ್ಚಕ್ತಿ ರಮಣೇಶ ದೈವದಲ್ಲಿ ದೈವ ಚಿಚ್ಚಕ್ತಿ ರಮಣೇಶ ದೈವದಲ್ಲಿ ದೈವ ಚಿಚ್ಚಕ್ತಿ ರಮಣೇಶ ದೈವದಲ್ಲಿ ದೈವ ಚಿಚ್ಚಕ್ತಿ ರಮಣೇಶ ದೈವದಲ್ಲಿ ದೈವ ಮನದಿಂದ ಮಾಯದ ಬೇರನ್ನು ಎಳೆವ ಆತ್ಮ ವಿಚಾರದ ಶಕ್ತಿ ಕೊಡು ದೈವ ಮನದಿಂದ ಮಾಯದ ಬೇರನ್ನು ಎಳೆವ ಆತ್ಮ ವಿಚಾರದ ಶಕ್ತಿ ಕೊಡು ದೈವ ಚಿಚ್ಚಕ್ತಿ ರಮಣೇಶ ದೈವದಲ್ಲಿ ದೈವ ಚಿಚ್ಚಕ್ತಿ ರಮಣೇಶ ದೈವದಲ್ಲಿ ದೈವ ಕಣ್ಕಂಡ ದೈವ ಚರಣ ಕೊಡು ದೈವ ಸ್ಥಿರವಾದ ಧೈರ್ಯವ ಪಡೆಯುವುದೇ ಜೀವ ಕಣ್ಕಂಡ ದೈವ ಶರಣ ಕೊಡು ದೈವ ಸ್ಥಿರವಾದ ಧೈರ್ಯವ ಪಡೆಯುವುದೇ ಜೀವ ಚರಣದೇ ಸ್ಥಾನವನ್ನು ತಂದಂತ ದೈವ ಸೇವೆಗೆ ನಾ ತರುವೆ ಭಕ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ಹೂವ ಚರಣದೇ ಸ್ಥಾನವನ್ನು ತಂದಂತ ದೈವ ಸೇವೆಗೆ ನಾ ತರುವೆ ಭಕ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ಹೂವ ಚಿಚ್ಚಕ್ತಿ ರಮಣೇಶ ದೈವದಲ್ಲಿ ದೈವ ಚಿಚ್ಚಕ್ತಿ ರಮಣೇಶ ದೈವದಲ್ಲಿ ದೈವ ಮೂಜಗವೆತ ಹಾಡಿ ಹೊಗಳುವ ದೈವ ಮಮತೆಯ ಕ್ಷೀರವನ್ನು ನೀಡುವ ದೈವ ವೀರಾದಿ ವೀರರಿಗೆ ಸತ್ವವೇ ದೈವ ಮನಗಿರುವ ಜೀವಕ್ಕೆ ತೋರದಿಹ ದೈವ ಚಿಚ್ಚಕ್ತಿ ರಮಣೇಶ ದೈವದಲ್ಲಿ ದೈವ ಚಿಚ್ಚಕ್ತಿ ರಮಣೇಶ ದೈವದಲ್ಲಿ ದೈವ ಎಲ್ಲವನು ಬಲ್ಲವನು ನಿಲುಕದ ದೈವ ಬಂಧನವ ಬಿಟ್ಟವಗೆ ಒಲಿಯುವ ದೈವ ಎಲ್ಲವನು ಬಲ್ಲವನು ನಿಲುಕದ ದೈವ ಬಂಧನವ ಬಿಟ್ಟವಗೆ ಒಲಿಯುವ ದೈವ ಕೀರ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ಹಾಡುವರ ಭಕ್ತಿ ಸಾಗರದಲ್ಲಿ ಈಜಾಡಿ ಒಲಿವ ಸದಾನಂದ ದೈವ ಕೀರ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ಹಾಡುವರ ಭಕ್ತಿ ಸಾಗರದಲ್ಲಿ ಈಜಾಡಿ ಒಲಿವ ಸದಾನಂದ ದೈವ ಚಿಚ್ಚಕ್ತಿ ರಮಣೇಶ ದೈವದಲ್ಲಿ ದೈವ ಚಿಚ್ಚಕ್ತಿ ರಮಣೇಶ ದೈವದಲ್ಲಿ ದೈವ ಚಿಚ್ಚಕ್ತಿ ರಮಣೇಶ ದೈವದಲ್ಲಿ ದೈವ ಚಿಚ್ಚಕ್ತಿ ರಮಣೇಶ ದೈವದಲ್ಲಿ ದೈವ ದೈವದಲ್ಲಿ ದೈವ ದೈವದಲ್ಲಿ ದೈವ
हे काल स्वरूप भगवान जीवन का निर्मल दो उपहार हे काल स्वरूप भगवान जीवन का निर्मल दो उपहार हे रमण स्वामी भगवान हमें दो चिदानंद निर्विकार हे रमण स्वामी भगवान हमें दो चिदानंद निर्विकार हे काल स्वरूप भगवान जीवन का निर्मल दो उपहार हे अमित तेज भगवान मिटा दो माया का अंधार हे अमित तेज भगवान मिटा दो माया का अंधार मिटा दो मृत्युंजय भगवान पिला दो जीवनामृत की धार। हे मृत्युंजय भगवान पिला दो जीवनामृत की धार। पिला दो जीवनामृत की धार। पिला दो जीवनामृत की धार। हे काल स्वरूप भगवान जीवन का निर्मल दो उपहार। हे शांति तत्व भगवान चरण तव सकल सत्व का सार। हे शांति तत्व भगवान चरण तव सकल सत्व का सार। हे रमण स्वामी भगवान चढ़ाओ हृदय पुष्प का हार। हे रमण स्वामी भगवान चढ़ाओ हृदय पुष्प का हार। चढ़ाओ हृदय पुष्प का हार। चढ़ाओ हृदय पुष्प का हार। हे काल स्वरूप भगवान जीवन का निर्मल दो उपहार। हे काल स्वरूप भगवान जीवन का निर्मल दो उपहार।
In Bhagavad Gita class over here, we had this question come up some time back. What do we pray to God when we come to temple? Yes, even I, like many others, I have prayed for my health, education, career, etc. at one time point. But thankfully, Bhagwan has made me understand that he alone is the director, the mover, and steering all the jivas and everything in this world. So what is there for me to ask him? I pray for his grace alone to hold him and to remember him at all times. And these thoughts are reflected so very well in one of my very favorite songs by Sri Sadhu Om, Enna Vendum, Enna Vendam. He says, Bhagwan, you are my father and mother and knows what's best for me. Your child. Is it befitting of me to call myself a devotee when I just keep on asking you this and that? You are present in everyone as the self. Then how can anything go wrong for me? என்ன வேண்டும் என்ன வேண்டாம் என்பதை எல்லாம் என்னை விட நன்கறிந்தோன் எம்பெருமானே. எனக்கென்ன வேண்டும் என்ன வேண்டாம் என்பதை எல்லாம் என்னை விட நன்கறிந்தோன் எம்பெருமானே. தன்னை வேண்டும் அன்பர் தந்தை தாயுமானானே. பின்னையார் பின் வேக வேண்டும் பிள்ளையாம் நானே. தன்னை வேண்டும் அன்பர் தந்தை தாயுமானானே. பின்னையார் பின் வேக வேண்டும் பிள்ளையாம் நானே. எனக்கென்ன வேண்டும் என்ன வேண்டாம் என்பதை எல்லாம் என்னை விட நன்கறிந்தோன் எம்பெருமானே. நான் நினைத்ததிவதென்றால் நியாயமாகுமா? ஸ்ரீரமணனீச்சை அன்றியேதும் நல்லதாகுமா? நான் நினைத்த தீவதென்றால் நியாயமாகுமா? ஸ்ரீரமணனீச்சை அன்றியேதும் நல்லதாகுமா? தானினைத்த தீவன் கேட்போன் தாசனாகுமா? சர்வமும் அறிந்தோன் செய்கை தப்புமாகுமா? தானினைத்த ஜீவன் கேட்போன் தாசனாகுமா? சர்வமும் அறிந்தோன் செய்கை தப்புமாகுமா? எனக்கென்ன வேண்டும் என்ன வேண்டாம் என்பதை எல்லாம் என்னை விட நன்கறிந்தோன் எம்பெருமானே, எம்பெருமானே, எம்பெருமானே.
So in our book reading, we continue to read from first meetings with Ramana Maharshi, first person accounts, edited and compiled by A.R. Natarajan Verma. We are reading today about the account by Arthur Osborne. The title is The Revelation by Arthur Osborne. It was shortly before the Second World War that some friends sent me pictures of Bhagavan Sri Ramana and copies of some of his books. Under the influence of the French writer René Guénon, who was reinterpreting forgotten spiritual traditions to the West, I had already begun to understand that all beings manifest the one self or pure being, and that I, in my essence, am identical with the self. I had already understood that all beings manifest the one self or pure being, and that I, in my essence, am identical with the self. This means that it is possible to realize the supreme identity and become one in very fact, and that the purpose of life is to do so. Until this is achieved, the illusion of separate life in one form or another must continue, and with its sufferings and frustration obscure the radiance of the pure being. I knew that this task was the great heroic quest, the quest of the Sangreal, Holy Grail, and the Golden Fleece, and that it required constant effort on a prescribed path under the guidance of a guru. I was making efforts to find and follow such a path, but people for whom I had the utmost respect had assured me that Bhagavan was not a guru, and that his teaching, however sublime, did not constitute practical guidance on a path that men could follow. I was enormously impressed by the books and pictures, by the spiritual power and beauty in them, but classed them reluctantly as a luxury rather than a utility. In any case, I could not have gone to Tiruvannamalai because I was at the time a university lecturer in Siam. Soon, however, it became possible. In 1941, I had 6 months' leave, which I spent in India, and yet I did not go. I accepted the view impressed upon me that Less aspiring effort was more practicable. Less illumined guidance, more effective. In September, when my leave ended, the war was already drawing near to Siam. So I left my wife and 3 children in India and went back alone. A friend had kindly opened to them his house at Tiruvannamalai, the only place where my wife wished to be. She was more concerned with reality than I, less with theory. I went back without seeing Bhagwan. In December, the Japanese invaded Siam and I was arrested and interned. Just before that, I had received a letter saying that my eldest daughter, then aged 5, and my son, 3 years younger, had asked Bhagwan to keep me safe through the war, and he had smiled and assented. There followed 3.5 long years of internment until the Japanese surrender in 1945. There was ample time for sadhana. More and more, Bhagavan became the support of my strivings, though I did not yet turn to him as to the Guru. As soon as the evacuation could be arranged, I went to Tiruvannamalai, arriving there at the beginning of October. And yet, it was as much to rejoin my family as to see Bhagavan that I went. Perhaps it would be more true to say that I simply felt I had to go there. I entered the ashram hall on the morning of my arrival, before Bhagavan had returned from his daily walk on the hill. I was a little awed to find how small it was and how close to him I should be sitting. I had expected something grander and less intimate. And then he entered, and to my surprise, there was no great impression. Certainly far less than his photographs had made. Just a white-haired, very gracious man, walking a little stiffly from rheumatism and with a slight stoop. As soon as he had eased himself onto the couch, he smiled at me and then turned to those around and to my young son and said, "So, Adam's prayer has been answered. His daddy has come back safely." I felt his kindliness, but no more. I appreciated that it was for my sake that he had spoken in English, since Adam already knew Tamil. During the weeks that followed, he was constantly gracious to me, and the strain of nerves and mind gradually relaxed. And there was still no dynamic contact. I was disappointed, as it seemed to show a lack of receptivity in me, and yet, at the same time, it confirmed the opinion that I had accepted that he was not a guru and did not give guidance on any path. And Bhagavan said nothing to change my view. It was not until the evening of Kartikai, when each year a beacon is lit on the summit of Arunachala, or it may have been Deepavali, I am not quite sure, when a revelation occurred. There were huge crowds for the festival. I was sitting in the courtyard outside the old hall, in front of the couch where Bhagavan was reclining. He sat up facing me, and his narrowed eyes pierced into me, penetrating, intimate, with an intensity I cannot describe. It was as though they said, "You have been told. Why have you not realized?" And then quietness, a depth of peace, an indescribable lightness and happiness. Thereafter, love for Bhagavan began to grow in my heart, and I felt his power and beauty. Next morning, for the first time, sitting before him in the hall, I tried to follow his teaching by using Vichara, "Who am I?" I thought it was I who had decided. I did not at first realize that it was the initiation by look that had vitalized me and had changed my attitude of mind. I'll read that again. Next morning, for the first time, sitting before him in the hall, I tried to follow his teaching by using the Vichara, "Who am I?" I thought it was I who had decided. I did not realize at first that it was the initiation by look that had vitalized me and changed my attitude of mind. Indeed, I had heard only vaguely of this initiation and paid little heed to what I had heard. Only later did I learn that other devotees also had such an experience, and that with them also it had marked the beginning of active sadhana under Bhagavan's guidance. It's always under Bhagavan's guidance that we start Atmavicharam. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. We now have the self-inquiry session, which will be guided by Sima.
Thank you, Akka. Namo Ramana to everyone. Dhyayet Sharada Chandra Sundara Bhukam Tamraravinde Kshanam Bhaktabhishtavarabhayapradakaram Kaupinamatrojvalam Swatmanandarasanubhuti vivasham Sarvanavargyanvatam Srimantam Sriramaneshwaram Guruvaram Yogasanadhyasitam Dhyayet Sriramaneshwaram Dhyayet Sriramaneshwaram Dhyayet Sriramaneshwaram Hridaya Kuhara Madhye Kevalam Brahmamatram Yahamahmiti Sakshat Atmarupena Bhati Hridi Vishamanasa Chinvata Marjatava Pavana Charana Rodha Atmanishto Bhavatvam. We commence today's self-inquiry session by listening to Bhagavan's Upadesham. We will just contemplate on what Nanda Kumarji had just read out. It is so beautiful that it started off saying that everybody is that very self. That is the truth. We are that very self. However, it is the thoughts that makes us feel otherwise, makes us get identified with this limited frame, limited concepts, and limited thoughts. And the moment we are identified with that, we start the sadhana hoping that we are the doer. Whereas this entity, this division, the first person I, which Bhagavan says, is the first division that takes place. And that the source of that is the very self. So it's always Bhagavan who is within us, who is the light which guides everything. Whereas this first person, identifying himself with the body on the one side and the awareness, the self on the other side, believes that he is the person who can understand, who can do. However, Bhagavan, having understood that is what is our trouble, has given us Atma Vichara with great blessings, wherein he says, no matter what is the kind of thought with which rises within us, whether it is good, bad, or ugly, no matter how many number of such thoughts rises, it is an opportunity to inquire to whom is this. Thereupon, it becomes clear that this thought is obviously for me. And Bhagavan has given this question, who am I? This is the most precious question. It is not a statement, but a question which makes us turn within and seek the source of I, to see where from this I rises within me. Moment we ask this question, who am I? The grace of the Master takes us to the very source, to that self from which is the substrate of everything, of every one of us. And Bhagavan says, by repeatedly and diligently inquiring, we are made to get established in that very self that we are. And Bhagavan also says, the path itself will become a goal, and therefore we should diligently keep inquiring, to whom is this thought? It's for me. Thereupon, who am I? And with every inquiry, we, by the grace of Master, we get established in the very self that we are. With repeated practice, we get absorbed by that grace, and grace alone remains. With the immense grace of Master, for the next 15 minutes, no matter how many thoughts we get, no matter what is the nature of the thought, let's do Atma Vichara.
We now have the sharing by Sri Venkatesh Deshpande.
Namo Ramana, everybody. It's always wonderful to go through the summer months, you know. So we've gone through April now, we've come through May, and May is really, May and June and July are months of abundance. You know, there abundance of, we'll have lots of rain, we'll have lots of excellent fruits, and Bangalore is beautiful with flowers. So there's abundance of everything. So it's a good time to feel the presence of Bhagwan everywhere. So during the journey, my journey of being with Bhagwan, a few things, you know, we always, the mind is always a thing that is, it's difficult to control. And we have the tools, various tools given by Bhagwan of self-surrender, as well as who am I. But we as humans also try, you know, read different books and talk to various people, and we try and see how we can try other methods also to quieten the mind. So one thing that I tried, I thought I will share a little bit with all of you, and then we will get into one of the talks in the books and talks of Ramana Maharshi. So what I used to do is, when I used to get up in the morning, what I do and that I put in the videos also, which are on YouTube, is I used to sit down for about 10 minutes, close my eyes, and say some shlokas. So, but then the mind has a tendency of going outwards. So what I thought was, let me try and make my mind a good friend of mine. So what I did was, I said that I'm going to be an actor for today. So an actor means I am going to be part of a drama, and I'm going to play my role very well. So the role which I'll be playing through the day, whatever I do, I will do it extremely well, which will absolutely keep me in the now. And when I started seeing more and more of the plays being staged by the center, I found this great quality among all the actors was that they were in the now. They were, you know, in the role that they were told by the director. See, the director tells the role that the individual has to perform, and the actor just does the role. But when the actor is there in the role, he or she is totally in the role and does not look here or there. And same thing was happening with Bhagavan also. When Bhagavan was in the body, whenever he did whatever he did in the kitchen or eating or whatever he did, he was always in the now, because the now is really the time that you have. So, but what really happens is when you're on the stage, you have a role to play, but in real life, you switch roles very, very quickly. Say, for example, you're talking to your wife, you have a role as a husband. And suddenly your child comes and then asks you a question. Suddenly your role from a husband becomes that of a father. And suddenly your sister calls you on the phone and your role becomes that of a brother. So you are actually not going into the green room like in a real drama. You're not going into a green room to go and change your clothes and come back onto the stage. Here the stage is the life that you're living is the stage. So what is happening is in real time, your roles are changing very, very quickly. And sometimes you cannot stop to think, but you have to just play the roles. But what I practiced for some time was that I'm going to play my role very well during the day. At the end of the day, I would really sit back and analyze myself and say, how did I do my roles? Now, when I'm supposed to do a role as an actor, I'm just really acting. I'm really not that person. So if I'm playing the role of a beggar in a drama, it really does it. I'm going to do my begging role very, very well. But when I come back to the green room, I realized that I was not the beggar. So similarly, I went through life and realized that I'm going to this whole world is a stage, and I'm an actor in this stage, but that's not really me. There's something behind which I'm touched with at the end of the day. So when I used to analyze at the end of the day, I used to realize that there's something behind this which is making this actor do whatever it's supposed to do. It could be the emotions on the face, it could be the body movements, it could be the delivery of the dialogues or whatever I was trying to do. There was something behind it which was really making it happen. So more and more I started thinking about this, and this is what the Shravana part means. Whenever you listen to a lot of people, and this is one of the tricks that I tried in my life to the actor role. And so Bhagwan's talk on talk number 249 talks about the same thing. Bhagwan says that ignorance, ajnana, is of two kinds. So what happens is when you are in these roles of doing whatever we are doing, we have number one, either forgetfulness of the self or obstruction to the knowledge of the self. These are the two types of ajnanas that we have. Aids are meant for eradicating thoughts. So if I was the beggar and if I was begging in the role and I thought I'm actually begging, then I'm mistaken. Aids are meant for eradicating the thoughts. These thoughts are the remanifestations of predispositions remaining in seed form. Now what happens is, if I'm continuously doing the beggar role, then what's going to happen? Even in my dreams, I will get dreams that I am actually begging. Why? Because that goes into my system, saying that, hey, you must do this begging role very, very well. They give rise to diversity from which all troubles arise. these aids are hearing the truth from the master Shravana. So continuously, that's what we are doing in the satsang. The satsang is all about Shravana. It's all about listening and being able to take in whatever is relevant for us, and then doing manana, thinking about it, and then practicing it, nididhyasana. The effects of Shravana may be immediate, and the disciple realizes the truth all at once. This can happen only for well-advanced disciple. Otherwise, the disciple feels that he is unable to realize the truth even after repeatedly hearing it. What is it due to? Impurities in his mind, ignorance, doubt, and wrong identity are the obstacles to be removed. So what are the impurities? Impurities is like, for example, oh, I'm not, say, if one of the truths is Tattvam Asi, you are that. Oh, how do I know I am that? I do not know. But the great ones have realized that you are the self. It's like the classic example that there is a robber who has come to the neighbor's house, and there's a dog that starts barking. Then what happens? The other dogs automatically start barking. Now, the other dogs have actually not seen the robber. Only that one dog has seen the robber, but they automatically start barking. Similarly, Ramana and all the great ones have realized the self, and they're saying, come here and do whatever we did so that you are become fearless and free. To remove ignorance completely, he has to hear the truth repeatedly. That's what we do in this. This satsang is for that. Satsang means we are talking about the truth. So to remove ignorance completely, he has to hear the truth repeatedly until his knowledge of the subject matter becomes perfect. To remove doubts, he must reflect on what he has heard. Ultimately, his knowledge will be free from doubts of any kind. Finally, whatever we say, we are ignorant. We think we are this body, mind, ego. It's basically we have too many doubts. To remove the wrong identity of the self with the non-self, such as the body, the senses, and the mind or the intellect, his mind must become one-pointed. See, this experience we have when we are doing the drama. When we are doing the drama, we are actually in that role completely. We are single-pointed. At that point, I don't remember that I am Venkatesh at that point of time. I am playing that role very, very well. So if you believe that you are the self and you continue to do your role as an actor, then you will always be establishing the self. All these things are accomplished, the obstacles are at the end, and samadhi results. That is, peace reigns. So the important things about this, the notes I put down just now, is that when you are playing the actor's role, it's not you. So there's something you're put on. And it's a transitory role. See, when you know I'm playing the beggar's role on the drama, on the stage, I know it's a transitory role. The director tells you what to do. Similarly, Bhagavan is telling this body what to do. So when you are surrendered to God, you will know that force is telling you to do this. And after some time, what happens? It becomes dreamlike. The whole waking state, when you realize it is a drama, it is an actor's acting, it becomes something like a dream. So you don't put any more meaning to whatever you're trying to do. So these are some of the things I wanted to share, and we go through life, trying to find different hooks to be able to quieten the mind and our minds are best friends. So this was one of the hooks of the actor role. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana.
We now have the sharing by Dr. Kalarani Rangaswamy.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Arunachalamena agame ninaipavar agattai veraruppai Arunachala. Dear Sadhakas, Namo Ramana. Once a devotee asked Bhagwan whether he can do dhyanam with his eyes open or he should only close his eyes while doing dhyanam. Bhagwan replied, that depends on your convenience. That's okay, Bhagwan. If I open my eyes, I can see many things that will distract me, isn't it? Bhagwan asked him, if you close your eyes, what happens? Then even more thoughts will come. Okay. Sadhvam Swami has written a dhyanam song relating to this. Kannai moodi amarndu kol, kadavul endru ninaindu kol. When I met Sadhvam Swamigal for the first time at the age of 10, this song was under print actually. After talking with me for a few minutes, Om Sadhu gave my mother a piece of paper and a pencil, not a pen. Take a note of it. It's a pencil. And asked her to write this dhyanam song and said, this song is for children like Kala. As it is under print, I am asking you to write it down. And explained the meaning of the song to me. Today, let us take the first word of the song, Kannai moodi. Is it just closing our eyes and doing dhyanam? Does it mean that when we sit for dhyanam, with our eyes closed, what happens? Thoughts starts coming one by one after another. I'll tell you a story. A person wants to do penance and he chose a forest and sat under a tree thinking that Buddha got dhyanam when he was sitting under a tree, isn't it? So let me also sit under a tree and try. And he thought of doing dhyanam with his eyes open because there's no one around there. For about 2 hours, the dhyanam went on very well. But what happened? A beautiful girl passed him that distracted him. So he went back. The next day he thought, only when I did penance with my eyes open, yesterday I got disturbed by the beautiful young woman. Today let me close my eyes. Okay. Again he started doing meditation with his eyes closed. After 2 hours of his meditation, he could hear a sound of the anklets. Golusu in Tamil we used to say. He thought, oh, this sound must be coming from the anklets that she is wearing. He got disturbed. Again, on the next day, thinking only his ears are this culprit. He closed his ears with cotton and started his penance again. Okay, for 2 hours he meditated. Again he could smell the fragrance of jasmine flowers. How beautiful. Here again he got disturbed by the thought that, oh, that same young woman has decorated her hair with jasmine flowers. That is why I could smell. That sort. He got distracted. So he went back very restlessly. Now what he can do, I will cover my eyes, nose, ears with a monkey cap. Okay. Now let me see who can disturb me. So completely covered, he sat on the same tree. very confidently that he will do penance today. He was meditating, he could not see anything, he could not hear anything, no smell was coming. He was very happily continuing his meditation. It was going on, went on very well. But now what happened? Exactly after 2 hours, he got again disturbed because the mind said, the thought, is it not the time that the beautiful woman will pass by me? The thought, that is all. He got distracted again. And it was not able to continue his meditation at all. Now, friends, is it our pancha indriyas that is disturbing us or the mind? We have to think it over. Bhagwan beautifully says, we sleep in a hall with the windows open. How is it possible? When our mind comes to rest or when the mind sleeps, that's how we can sleep, isn't it? So in the same way, even if our eyes are open, but our mind is at rest with the Nijaswarupa, we are not going to be affected by what our eyes are seeing, what is seen in front of us. This is what Sadhuvam Swamigal also mean when he writes Kannai Moodi Amarndukol. Means not only the physical closure of the eye, but one has to ensure that the mind is not diverted here and there, and it is also closed without any thought. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana Sharda.
I ask Ujjwal to continue with his sharing. Before he goes on with sharing, I would request Ujjwal to sing this Dhyana Pate first verse in Tamil and also the Kannada and English translations. The first line alone, the first verse.
கண்ணை மூடி அமர்ந்து கொள், கடவுள் என்று நினைந்து கொள், எண்ணிடாமல் எதையுமே இறைவன் ஒன்றே நினைந்து கொள். ಕಣ್ಣ ಮುಚ್ಚಿ ಕುಳಿತಿಕೋ, ದೇವರನ್ನೇ ನೆನೆದುಕೋ, ಯೋಚನೆಗಳ ನೆನೆಯದೆ ದೇವರನ್ನೇ ನೆನೆದುಕೋ. Close your eyes and simply be. Meditate on the Almighty. Think not of anything else. Focus on the Lord alone. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. We are all in a journey to reach our own self. And Ramana says, the self and Arunachala are not different. So we are all in this journey of Chal Arunachal, Chal Arunachal, Chal Arunachal, Chal Arunachal. मोह से मन को ना कर घायल, चल अरुणाचल, चल अरुणाचल. शोक भाग्य को ढाल बदल, चल अरुणाचल, चल अरुणाचल. We all want to get over our bondage, and we also want our lives to change from sorrow to happiness, to change our fate from shok to anand. We want to go and reach Arunachala, which is our own true self. And Ramana says, to reach Arunachala, it's very, very simple. And it is the answer for all the problems. Sab prashnon ka ek hi hal, chal Arunachal, chal Arunachal. And why it is so easy? Because सब जीवों का हृदय कमल, चल अरुणाचल, चल अरुणाचल. The Arunachala is the heart of all the beings. So it is very easy to reach Arunachala when we turn inwards. And he tells us to get free from all our bondage, to get free from the the sorrow that we experience every day. And to attain our own true nature, you have to move, turn inwards, and reach Arunachala. And Ramana shares this beautiful story of a great devotee of Arunachala, of Shiva, who was traveling like all of us to Arunachala. And this devotee was none other than Tirujnana Sambandar, a young devotee. And he, on his way to Tiruvannamalai, he reached a place called Ariyanni Nallur or Tirukkoyilur. And on a hillock, there is a Shiva temple. And there he could see Arunachala from it is 18 miles away from Arunachala, but he could see the site of Arunachala from that place. And that very same place, he could see the light of Shiva embracing everything. And he thought the Arunachala is here itself. Even he should set his journey and reach Arunachala and have the darshan of Arunachala. And a old man, a old Brahmin, carrying flowers in his hand, was passing by. And this young devotee, Tirujnana Sambandar, asked, Swami, where are you coming from and where are you going? And the old Brahmin told, I stay in Tiruvannamalai and I save the Arunachaleshwarar. And I every day come here to pluck flowers, and I have been collecting these flowers, and I every day walk to Tiruvannamalai to do the puja to Arunachaleshwarar. And the young boy asked, Swami, how far is Arunachala? How can I also walk and reach it with you? And the old man told, it is very close. Old man like me, I travel every day of coming. Every day come here, take the flowers, and go to Tiruvannamalai. You are so young. You can quickly reach Arunachala. Come, you can also join me in this journey. So the old man told, and Tirujnana Sambandar with 10,000 devotees, they started following this old man, and they started moving towards Arunachala. And they were all singing the praise of Shiva and moving in this beautiful journey to Arunachala. And this young boy got a doubt. How far is it? He wanted to ask this old man, and he turned around to see, how far is Arunachala? Where is that old man? Let me ask him. And when he turned around, the old man was not to be found. And then immediately a set of dacoits attacked the group. And these dacoits robbed everything. The Tirujnana Sambandar had a golden pallak and all these devotees, rich devotees with nice ornaments and dresses. And these dacoits looted everything, including the dress and the ornaments. And all the devotees were just left with one kaupinam to wear. And everybody were crying. And Tirujnana Sambandar thought, why is Shiva doing this test to us? And then he prayed to Shiva, and Shiva appeared. And he told, oh, Tirujnana Sambandar, it is for your own good. Those dacoits are not real dacoits. They are my ganas who have come in that form and looted you. You will get back all your wealth at the right time. So you have set on this journey to Arunachala. And I wanted you to be free of all these burden of carrying all these ornaments and the pallak and the luggage. So I have freed you. Now you can quickly reach Arunachala. And as the command of Shiva and the blessings of Shiva, the group reached Arunachaleshwara and they had darshan of Arunachaleshwara. And once they had the darshan of Arunachaleshwara, all their wealth and much more was given to them back in the same way. This story, for all of us who are set our journey towards the Arunachala, which is our own self, the old man who is ever serving Arunachaleshwara, Ramana, has come into our lives. And he has shown us the path, and he tells, Ayye ati sulabam, Anma Vidya, Ayye ati sulabam. He says, for me, such an old man, it is so easy. For you, all you people, it is much more easy. You are younger than me, he says, and inspires us to move towards Arunachala. And when we are set on this journey to Arunachala, at the right point of time, he brings us this dacoit. Ramana is called the Donga Ramana. And he gives us this weapon, the weapon of self-inquiry, which we cover ourselves with the various layers of images. And we are this, we are that. We keep holding on to this various, the costume that we wear. And this question, who am I, strips us naked and asks us, if none of these attributes are you, who are you? When all these attributes, all these possessions are taken away from you, who are you? Do you cease to exist? Who are you? Find out who is that you, says Ramana with this question, who am I? And when we question ourselves and strip ourselves naked of all the images that we have, the image that we are this body, image that we are this mind, image that we are this intellect, when all these, the robes that we wear, we unrobe ourselves, and then his robe of love and his robe of jnana, he makes us wear, and we can quickly reach Arunachala, which Kameshwar Mama says, Odile prem vajnan ka achal, chal Arunachal, chal Arunachal. And Sridhar Sharma ji, once in the talk in Ramana Shrine, he was explaining the last verse, Malayali Tarunachala Ramanayan, Malayalindarul Arunachala, where he told that first Malay Arunachala has to put, and then we request him to accept our garland. And he explained this so beautifully that Arunachala has already put his Malay on us. And only what is required is we have to surrender ourselves and offer our Malay to Arunachala. And we've reached Arunachala. How can we reach Arunachala? And he explained it is so easy because Arunachala himself is the magnet, and we are all the iron fillings. The magnet seems to be still. Seems that magnet is not working, but these iron fillings are the ones who are struggling to go towards the magnet. But the reality is the magnet is working its magnetic field on the iron fillings, and the iron fillings are drawn slowly and steadily towards this Arunachala, who is the magnet. And once we reached Arunachala, once the iron fillings reach the magnet, it becomes one with the magnet. The magnet transfers his own state. Arunachala transfers his own state to that iron filling, and the iron filling gets the property of the magnet, and the iron filling starts attracting other magnets. And Ramana himself says, when I was drawn to Arunachala, I did not come like a traveler. I was just like a small grass which was driven by this storm, which great power like the storm, which brought me to the physical presence of Arunachala. And that Arunachala has come into our lives, and it is working its magnetic attraction to all of us, and we are all getting drawn to Arunachala. And with great faith, let us all move towards this Arunachala, where प्रेम गीत गह गाती कोयल चल अरुणाचल चल अरुणाचल अहम अहम बज ज्ञान के पायल चल अरुणाचल चल अरुणाचल अनुभव कर आनंद अटल चल अरुणाचल चल अरुणाचल शरण रमण के पद ये कोमल चल अरुणाचल चल अरुणाचल चल अरुणाचल चल अरुणाचल चल अरुणाचल चल अरुणाचल. ओम नमो भगवते श्री रमणाय.
नमो रमणा. चिंता विहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि We conclude every satsang with the Ashtotra Puja to Bhagavan. This Sri Ramana Ashtotra Shatanamavali has been composed by Sri Vishwanatha Swami. We heard about his association with Bhagavan, his first meeting with Bhagavan in the last two satsangs, reading by Sri Nandakumarji. This Ashtotram is performed in puja at Sri Ramaneshwara Mahalingam every morning and evening. And it is performed in puja at all Ramana satsangs, at the Ramana shrine, at all Ramana shrines. So what is the purpose of this Ashtotram has been indicated to us in this Dhyana Shlokam by Vishwanatha Swami. The purpose is to meditate on Bhagavan. Chintayami, to meditate on Bhagavan. The Ashtotram is a tool, is an aid for us to meditate on him. And what is the nature of the one we are meditating on? He is Chinta Vihina. Why should we meditate on him? In Ullathu Narpadu, Bhagavan says, how is one to meditate on the self, which has nothing apart from it, which is non-dual? How can anybody meditate on it? Who is there other than the self to meditate on it? Bhagavan says, to be as the self. Ullade ullal unar, he says. To remain as the self, to abide as the self is meditation on the self. Now, what if I do not understand? What if I am bound by my limitation to the body? How do I get across it? Bhagavan has given us the infallible weapon of self-inquiry. Bhagavan has also, out of his great infinite compassion, taken that sweet form which we know as Ramana and lived that abidance from moment to moment to moment. So that by meditating upon Bhagavan, we are actually meditating upon the self. In the Bhagavatam, it is said that there is an example given of the Brahmara Kita. There is an insect which is called a Brahmara Kita, and this Brahmara Kita is always meditating upon the Brahmara or the bee. And by the force of constantly thinking about the Brahmara, it becomes the Brahmara. So it is said that what we think of continuously, that we become. So the Ashtotram is the means by which we can meditate upon Bhagavan, who is Chinta Vihina. He has no thoughts. So if we constantly meditate upon him, if we constantly dwell upon Ramana, what happens is that we too imbibe that state and get united with him. Saying this, let us go back to the first word of the Dhyana Shlokam, which Vishwanatha Swami has used. He says, Apara Satchit Sukhavari Rashe. Apara Satchit. Apara. That which cannot be crossed over. It is boundless. That is the nature of Bhagavan. Whatever we think of is limited. It can be crossed over. It is in fact crossed over. Every aspect of everything that can be thought about has its boundary. Everything that has happened to us in life has its boundary. Very often, when we pass through difficult times, as we are passing through now, people say, don't worry, this too will pass. Everything passes. Time is not apara. It is something which we can cross over, which we are crossing over. In fact, we cannot hold on to any part of it. And space may appear to be very, very wide. It may appear to be very, very vast, the universe. But however vast it is, it has its boundaries. In fact, the example which is normally given for something which is boundless is the ocean or the sea. And somebody asked Bhagavan, is not Bhagavan's grace like the ocean, boundless? Bhagavan said, no. The ocean has boundaries, not so grace. So the grace is apara. It has no limits. So when we start meditating on something which has no limits. What is it that is apara? What is it that has no limits? What is it that has no boundaries? Everything that the mind can touch has a boundary. Our waking has a boundary. It ends when we go into dream. Our dream has a boundary. It ends when we go into sleep. Our sleep has a boundary. It ends when we wake again. Each of our thoughts rises. It has a boundary. It sets. It finishes. Another thought arises. Each of our experiences has a boundary. Why? Because we have made ourselves limited to a boundary of a body. So everything connected with us has a boundary. But Ramana is that which has no boundaries. And I am thinking about. So when I start meditating upon that boundless being, how should I meditate upon him? How should I think about him? I want to think about him. I want to remember him. That's why I am singing the Dhyana Shloka. I want to remember Bhagavan. So when my mind starts looking for that apara Bhagavan, slowly it sets aside everything that is transient. It does not bother anymore about anything that is transient. The best and the worst do not matter, because all that is transient is bound. It is bound by time and space. But I want to meditate on the apara Bhagavan. So nothing that is having a boundary is any more of any consequence to me. Gradually, my meditation turns more and more. It questions more and more that which is bound. It is no longer finding sweetness in that which is bound. It wants the apara. It wants Ramana, who is apara. It wants to meditate on Ramana, who is apara. This is the gift which Vishwanatha Swami gives us with the very first word of the Ramana Ashtotram. Apara Satchit Sukhavari Rashe. And then he goes on to say that this is what kind of thing is this apara? This apara is the Satchit Sukha. It is the bliss of being. It is the bliss of consciousness. And in this, the entire universe is only hardly even a speck. Yasyormi matram bhuvanam samastam. And where can we experience this? Guhahitam, in the heart. Tam ramanam gabhiram chintavihinam hridi chintayami. We conclude today's satsang with the Ashtotra Puja to Bhagavan. The first part of it will be chanted by Uma and Ashwini, and the latter part will be chanted by Vinita Aita. The puja is performed at the altar of Sri Subramaniam. Before that, we go on to Akshara Manamale by Radha and Vallabh.
Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala. Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala. கோபமில் குணத்தோல் குடியாய் என்னை கொள்ள குறையன் செய்தேன் அருணாச்சலா. கௌதமர் போற்றும் கருணை மமலையே கடை கணி தாழ்வாய் அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சல சிவ, அருணாச்சல சிவ, அருணாச்சல சிவ, அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சல சிவ, அருணாச்சல சிவ, அருணாச்சல சிவ, அருணாச்சலா. சகலமும் விழுங்கும் கதிரொளியின மன ஜல ஜமல தீடருணாச்சலா. சாப்பாடுன்னை சாந்துணவாயான் சாந்தமாய் போவன் அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா சித்தம் குளிர கதிர தம்பை தகுதவையை திர அருள்மதி அருணாச்சலா சீரையழித்து நிர்வாணம செய்தருள் சீரையழித்தருள் அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா பொறுமயம் பூதர புன் சொல்லை நன் சொல்ல பொறுத்தருள் இஷ்டம் பின் அருணாச்சலா மாலையடித்தருணாச்சல ரமணயன் மாலையடிந்தருள் அருணாச்சலா மாலையடித்தருணாச்சல ரமணயன் மாலையடிந்தருள் அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சலம் வாழி அன்பர்களும் வாழி அக்ஷரமண மாலை வாழி நமோ
நமோரம்.
भारद्वाज विश्वनाथ विरचितं श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तरशतनामावली अपार सच्चित् सुखवारिराशे यस्योर्मिमात्रं भुवनं समस्तं गुहाहितं तं रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि। ॐ महासेन महोंशेन जाताय नमः। ॐ श्रीरमणाय नमः। ॐ गुरवे नमः। ॐ अखण्ड संविदाकाराय नमः। ॐ महौजसे नमः। ॐ कारणोद्भवाय नमः। ॐ जगद्दितावताराय नमः। ॐ श्रीभूमिनाथस्थलोदिताय नमः। ॐ पराशरकुलोत्तंसाय नमः। ॐ सुन्दरार्य तपःफलाय नमः। ॐ कमनीय सुचारित्राय नमः। ॐ सहायाम्बा सहायवते नमः। ॐ शोणाचलमहोलीनमानसाय नमः। ॐ स्वर्णहस्तकाय नमः। ॐ श्रीमद्वादशान्तमहास्थले लब्धविद्योदयाय नमः। ॐ महाशक्तिनिपातेन प्रबुद्धाय नमः। ॐ परमार्थविदे नमः। ॐ तीव्राय नमः। ॐ पितृपदान्वेषिणे नमः। ॐ इन्दुमौलिना पितृमते नमः। ॐ पितुरादेशतः शोणशैलं प्राप्ताय नमः। ॐ तपोमयाय नमः। ॐ उदासीनाय नमः। ॐ महायोगिने नमः। ॐ महोत्साहाय नमः। ॐ कुशाग्रदिये नमः। ॐ शान्तसङ्कल्पसम्भ्रम्भाय नमः। ॐ सुसन्दृशे नमः। ॐ सवित्रे नमः। ॐ स्थिराय नमः। ॐ तपक्षपितसर्वाङ्गाय नमः। ॐ पुल्लाम्बुजविलोचनाय नमः। ॐ चन्द्रिकासितहासश्रीमण्डिताननमण्डलाय नमः। ॐ चूतवाट्यां समासीनाय नमः। ॐ चूर्णिताखिलविभ्रमाय नमः। ॐ वेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञाय नमः। ॐ चिन्मुद्रिणे नमः। ॐ त्रिगुणाधिगाय नमः। ॐ विरूपाक्षगुहावासाय नमः। ॐ विराजदचलाकृतये नमः। ॐ उद्दीप्तनयनाय नमः। ॐ पूर्णाय नमः। ॐ रचिताचलताण्डवाय नमः। ॐ गम्भीराय नमः। ॐ परमाचार्याय नमः। ॐ सुप्रसन्नाय नमः। ॐ अभयप्रदाय नमः। ॐ दक्षिणास्य निभाय नमः। ॐ धीराय नमः। ॐ दक्षिणाभिमुखाय नमः। ॐ स्वराजे नमः। ॐ
ॐ
महर्षये
महर्षये
नमः।
नमः।
ॐ
ॐ
भगवते
भगवते
नमः।
नमः।
ॐ ईड्याय नमः।
ॐ भूमविद्याविशारदाय नमः। ॐ विमलाय नमः। ॐ दीर्घदर्शिने नमः। ॐ आप्ताय नमः। ॐ ऋजुमार्गप्रदर्शकाय नमः। ॐ समदृशे नमः। ॐ सत्यदृशे नमः। ॐ सत्याय नमः। ॐ प्रशान्ताय नमः। ॐ अमितविक्रमाय नमः। ॐ सुकुमाराय नमः। ॐ सदानन्दाय नमः। ॐ मृदुभाषिणे नमः। ॐ दयार्णवाय नमः। ॐ श्री शोणाचलहृद्भूतस्कन्दाश्रमनिकेतनाय नमः। ॐ सद्दर्शनोपदेष्ट्रे नमः। ॐ सद्भक्तवृन्दपरिवृताय नमः। ॐ गणेशमुनिभृङ्गेन सेविताङ्घ्रिसरोरुहाय नमः। ॐ गीतोपदेशसाराध्रिग्रन्थसञ्चिन्नसंशयाय नमः। ॐ वर्णाश्रममतातीताय नमः। ॐ रसज्ञाय नमः। ॐ सौम्याय नमः। ॐ आत्मवते नमः। ॐ सर्वावनिमतस्थानाम् आराध्याय नमः। ॐ सर्वसद्गुणिने नमः। ॐ आत्मारामाय नमः। ॐ महाभागाय नमः। ॐ मातृमुक्तिविदायकाय नमः। ॐ विनताय नमः। ॐ विनुताय नमः। ॐ विप्राय नमः। ॐ मुनीन्द्राय नमः। ॐ पावकोज्ज्वलाय नमः। ॐ दर्शनादकसंहारिणे नमः। ॐ मौनेन स्वात्मबोधकाय नमः। ॐ हृच्छान्तिकरसान्निध्याय नमः। ॐ स्मरणाद्बन्धमोचकाय नमः। ॐ अन्तस्तिमिरचण्डांशवे नमः। ॐ संसारार्णवतारकाय नमः। ॐ शोणाद्रीशस्तुतिद्रष्ट्रे नमः। ॐ हार्दविद्याप्रकाशकाय नमः। ॐ अविच्युतनिजप्रज्ञाय नमः। ॐ नैसर्गिकमहातपसे नमः। ॐ कमण्डलुधराय नमः। ॐ शुभ्रकौपीनवसनाय नमः। ॐ गुहाय नमः। ॐ दण्डपाणये नमः। ॐ कृपापूर्णाय नमः। ॐ भवरोगविषग्वराय नमः। ॐ स्कन्दाय नमः। ॐ देवतमाय नमः। ॐ अमर्त्याय नमः। ॐ सेनान्ये नमः। ॐ पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः।
नमः। ॐ श्रीरमण भगवते नमः। श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तरशतनाम पूजां समर्पयामि। यस्ताणोररुणाचलस्य पदयोः स्मृत्याचनिं प्राप्यत दिव्यानुग्रहसुप्रभावविवशस्तादात्म्यभावं गतः हृन्निष्ठस्वगभीरनित्यतपसां लोकान् पुनास्येकराट् तस्मै श्रीरमणाय ते नव इदं लोकोत्तरज्योतिषे